Welcome to Lakita's Room. I am your host, Lakita Brewington. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Lakita's Room. As you just heard a moment ago, I am your host, Lakita Brewington. If you have not taken the opportunity to give me a 5-star review on your favorite listening platform, I would greatly appreciate it. I ask that you leave me a review, leave me some comments. That's going to help me become a better podcaster, and it's also going to help me put myself up there with your favorites, okay? It's a lot of people out here doing a podcast, and I don't take it for granted that you take time out of your schedule to listen to your girl, okay? So welcome to my community. As you heard in my opening, I'm bringing you real life love and all the lessons that I have learned along the way, okay? So the lesson this evening is really a matter that is near and dear to my heart, which is why I decided to name this episode Matters of the Heart. Okay, I also just want to say thank you again. I really appreciate your time. I know everybody's busy, okay? I say thank you a whole lot if y'all haven't figured that out about me already. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'll probably say it again in the middle and at the end, but give me some grace, okay? So I'm gonna say it one more time. Thank you. Okay, one of the goals that I set for myself this year is to be consistent. I want to be consistent with Lakita, and I want to be consistent with just presenting myself and just really doing the goals, doing the things that I said I was going to do. So I am very proud of myself in this moment because I've been consistent since the new year came in, and I ask that y'all pray my strength that I can keep this thing going because I really want to keep connecting with my community, okay? I appreciate y'all every time you pull up in Lakita's room, okay? So let's get started. I try not to talk too long because I know people can get disengaged, and you all have stuff going on just like I do, okay? Hopefully this won't be too long. If it is long, I'll try to break it up and bring it to you on another platform, okay? So again, today we are talking about matters of the heart. As many of you know, February is known as National Heart Month, okay? And a fact that you may not know is that Black women, we die from heart disease more than any other race. One more time, okay? Black women, we die from heart disease more than any other race, okay? I don't exclude anybody from listening to my platform. I welcome all nationalities, all races, all genders. But I wanted to highlight that because I'm a Black woman, and this is why this episode is near and dear to me, okay? I'm not going to tell you something that I haven't experienced, right? With me telling you my truths. This is really something that happened to me. And I talked about this last week on social media, just about the importance of heart health. And I told my audience that I was going to expound again on this because I noticed that I had so many notes and I didn't want to give too much information at that time. So I wanted to invite those who wanted to get further clarification to come into my space, which is why I'm talking about this on Lakita's Room today. Okay? So let me take it back to, I want to say maybe it was August 2023. I had just started a full-time job, another full-time job in addition to running my business, running Lakita Lifestyle Co., right? That's a health and wellness company that I have. I'm also a licensed massage and bodywork therapist, also a minister, also a singer, also a writer, right? Doing all the things. So I had just started a full-time job because if you notice, a lot of people aren't just dropping things in your lap as a small business owner, right? So I got over myself and went back into the workforce. And I was ashamed of that for a little while, but that's reality for a whole lot of us. Entrepreneurship, it can be liberating, but it can also be frustrating when it's time for you to get things done and there are not a lot of resources that are available to us. So sometimes we have to go back into the workplace. I didn't even plan to talk about that today, but somebody needed that. It's okay to go back into the workplace if you have to. That doesn't mean that it's permanent, okay? So let me get back to 2023. I took a job because I had some goals that I set for myself. I started in July. So August runs around and we're in a meeting. They kept pulling us into different meetings just to get us acclimated with the different things that I would be doing at my job. And we're sitting in this meeting, we're at a round table, And my supervisor at the time, she's very hands-on, she's very motherly. So in the middle of one of her trainings, she looks over her glasses at me, and for those who are watching this, I'm looking over my glasses, right? And she looks at me and says, "Are you resting?" And I look at her like, did she really just ask me that? And I had to be honest because I felt like I was talking to a mom. And I said, "I'm sleeping, but I'm not resting." And she pretty much stopped the meeting and just began to give me one-on-one and everybody else at the table. But I knew that was from God. I knew I was tired. I was commuting at the time. I was getting up at like 3:30 in the morning so I could pray, so I could drive 50 minutes to the gym to work out. I would work all day, do church, do rehearsals, do massages, go back home and hope that I could fall asleep before it's time to get up and do it all over again. I was going through just cycle after cycle, week after week, day after day. So when she asked me that, that was honestly a wake-up call for me. And she told me in that moment, you really need to take care of yourself and you need to look into taking some things off of your plate. And she pretty much just poured into myself and the other ladies that were in that room in that moment. And I teared up because I knew that was God speaking to me. And I knew that was a lesson that I needed to grab in that moment. And after the meeting was over, she came to me again at the end of the day. "Lakita, I really want you to take some things off of your plate. You really need to take care of yourself." So I got home that night and I sat in my closet. I have a bench that's in my closet where I sit there in the mornings. I talk to God. Sometimes I sit Indian style. I'm talking to God. If y'all have seen some of my videos, I'm literally on the floor with my legs crossed. I'm just coming out of prayer. I'm in there reading my Bible and what have you. So I got home in my closet that particular night when I was living in a different city, and I asked God, "God, you got to help me. I need you to show me what needs to come off of my list right now. What can I take off that I don't need to be doing?" And I don't even know if I mentioned that I was in school. I had just started another program in school. I'm still in school, y'all. I'm working on some stuff. I'll give you more details later, right? So I asked God to really help me figure out what I needed to take off my plate. And I started taking things away, and I started sending letters and notices. Hey, I need to take a sabbatical. Hey, I can't do that right now. And I didn't give a long explanation, right? I told who needed to be told, and I gave enough information where I wouldn't feel guilty, because that's something, honestly, that I've wrestled with. And I think when we have a lot of responsibilities, when you're a leader, sometimes it's a little bit of guilt when you have to pull back, especially when you enjoy what you're doing. Sometimes it becomes hard to step away. And honestly, I was enjoying everything that I was doing at, when I first started. But I was at the point then that it wasn't enjoyable. It was starting to become a burden for me. So I asked God to show me what I needed to step away from. And as God showed me, I started doing it. And right after this, maybe it wasn't even a week after, someone dear to me passed. And the last conversation that we had was that individual was under a lot of stress. They told me some very detailed information, told me things that were going on with them, and that they were stressed out. This person passed like a week after. And y'all, that really got next to me, because I thought about the circumstances and how that person passed. And then I also thought about the fact that I could have been headed in that direction. My chest was hurting every day. I had a headache every day. And I felt anxious every day. I felt overwhelmed. I felt burnt out, because I was literally burning the candle at both ends. That's why I want to tell somebody today, and I mentioned this last week, sometimes you're going to have to step away. And it's all right. And for the longest time, I had this guilt, but I don't have that anymore, because now I'm more comfortable in taking breaks, and I'm more comfortable in speaking up for myself, because I had this life-altering decision that I needed to make. Are you going to choose you, or are you going to choose all this other stuff on your plate, right? You cannot pour from an empty vessel. I know some of us are moms, we're wives, we have all of these hats and different titles that we wear, but if you are not full, you can't pour, right? I'm gonna let that marinate for a second. You can't give what you don't have. That's a bonus nugget for somebody. You can't give what you don't have, right? So I'm giving all of this stuff to people, and I didn't have anything left for Lakita. So I stepped away and I started resting. I put the massaging to the side. I've condensed my schedule now where I do massages once a week because I know I still have other things that are pulling at my attention. I do massages once a week and on the first Saturday of every month, right? So I started pulling away from doing these things. I told y'all I had a headache every day, anxious, chest hurting every day. I'm going to the doctor. I had gone to the doctor like 3 or 4 times. My cholesterol numbers were up, and I knew where all of the signs were pointing to. My body was letting me know you need to pull back, and I kept going. But sometimes, well, all the time, we really need to listen to our body. If you stop and listen to your body, it will tell you, it will let you know. It'll let you know when you have joy, when you have peace, when you have pain. That pain in your body is a signal that something is off. Hallelujah. That pain in your body is a signal that something is off. And when you ignore that little signal, when you ignore that little check engine light that's going off in your body, that little check engine light that's going off in your spirit, that's when the emergencies happen. When you ignore that thing in your car long enough, that's when it throws everything out of whack. It's the same thing with our body. When we ignore the Holy Spirit, when we ignore that pain in our body, when we ignore those little check engine lights that are going off, we pay the consequences for that. I was headed that way. So I pulled back. I started taking stuff off of my plate, and I started working on Lakita. And as I did that, I also reached out to a friend. Shout out to Crystal Artist, okay? And she probably don't even know I'm putting her on the spot, but I need to recognize her because that's one of my fit sisters, right? And I messaged her, and we don't talk a whole lot, but some people you just connect with, right? So I reached out to her, and I let her know what was going on with my numbers. I just needed to talk to somebody because I was overwhelmed, and I felt ashamed because I've been in health and wellness for a while, and I was very ashamed because my numbers were going off the charts. I felt ashamed because I was working out, but I wasn't seeing any results, right? My labs, everything was off. And she prayed with me. She let me talk, let me just be honest. And she's like, no, we're going to believe God that you're going to get these numbers together, right? And I had already said, well, if I have to go on blood pressure medication, fine. I'm not above it. But I asked my doctor, I said, hey, can you give me 3 more months, right? I asked her that. I went back. They still hadn't changed. I asked her one more time, can you give me 3 more months? And I kept working at it. So when I went back to the doctor the last time, my numbers are back under 200 because I've done the work, because I pulled stuff off of my plate, because I started to listen to my check engine light, and I started taking care of Lakita. Again, you need to take care of yourself first. That does not mean that you're ignoring everyone else's needs, but you can't meet their needs until you take care of your needs first, okay? I'm gonna give you a few pointers again. High stress levels can lead to increased blood pressure, higher risk of heart disease, poor sleep and weight gain, and inflammation in the body. These are all symptoms that I had, right? So I had to start on my plate, okay? Let me give you some tips since I've already jumped in here, okay? Here are 3 ways to protect your heart and reduce stress. Number 1, you have to nourish. In other words, you have to eat, okay? And you have to watch, you have to watch what you're eating. You can't eat processed junk every day and think that you're going to feel your best self. A lot of things that cause us to hurt worse. A lot of sugar causes inflammation in the body. A lot of fried foods, a lot of junk, a lot of processed, and I can get it with the best of y'all. I promise you. Catch me around that once, every month when sis like to come visit with us ladies. You can catch me with the extra toasty cheeses, ice cream galore. I have my moments, right? but I know I can't do that on a regular basis. So I give myself grace when it's time for my cycle to come, and then I pick myself up and I keep it moving. But eating those things on a regular basis, it does cause inflammation and pain in your body. And that also causes your cholesterol numbers to go up. A lot of people think, and I'm not going to go too far into this. This is for another subject, another time. A lot of people think that cholesterol comes from eating eggs and various things that may have cholesterol in it. Butter, which it does, like butter has saturated fat. The main thing I'm getting at, you need to watch your saturated fat and watch your sugar. That can cause your numbers to increase. I know that for a fact. I was fiending for sugar and caffeine because I needed a fix to keep me alert, to keep me awake. Coffee had really started to make me sleepy. It makes me sleepy now. I will rock with coffee now for the smell. But I was loading it up with sugar. Didn't even realize my numbers were just climbing. But that is what was happening for me. So one of the ways that you can also fix this, and again, I'm not against medication, but I'm giving you some natural things that worked for me. Always follow the advice of your doctor, okay? All right, so let me get back to it. So nourish yourself. Watch what you're eating. It's important, okay? A lot of times, a lot of people, we were raised on, if you were from the South like me, fried chicken, sweet tea. That's what we did on a regular basis. It was sweet, it was savory, it was rich foods all the time. That was an expression of love from family to family, from friend to friend. But now I'm making better decisions, and I even do that in moderation. Okay? The next thing that you need to do is move. You need to move your body. Exercise helps to lower your blood pressure. It also boosts your mood. Okay? You don't have to get in there and do a marathon right away, but start where you are and build from there. You can take a walk or two on your lunch break. If you get 2 15-minute breaks, get your little snack, take the next 10 minutes, go walk. Park at the back of the parking lot and then walk in the store. A lot of times we're racing for the park at the front of the store, but it all adds up. The main thing is to start where you are and to build from there, okay? Some people may not like going to the gym. I understand. They have walking pads. They have some that are like $100 on Amazon and other websites. There are things that you can do if you're not ready for the gym right now. And I get that, because some you may waste your money and some you may be super busy, but you can get it at the house. You can get you some hand weights at the house. You can walk outside with a friend. You can pull up all these things on YouTube, different workouts, different people. The sky is limitless at this point. There are all sorts of resources for you to get what you need. So there's really no excuse for you not prioritizing your health at this point. It's really pretty much handed on a platter. It just depends on which way you want it served that day, okay? So pick something and get it done. And this is last, but this is the most important. We need to learn how to prioritize self-care and rest, okay? At minimum. Now, it's best to get 7 to 8 hours, but I know that is not realistic for a whole lot of people. So what I started doing, now I get between 6 and 7. I told myself I'm not going under 7. At the bare minimum, I get 6 hours every night. Now, sometimes I increase that to 7. On the weekends, I try to get a little more because I know I have more time. My schedule is not as packed some weekends because I'm not massaging every Saturday, because I'm prioritizing Lakita, especially until I get done with the other tasks that I have going on, right? So you have to prioritize sleep. Another coach told me, shout out to Coach Nisi, I'm always taking notes from other people who helped me learn. Coach Nisi told me this a few years ago. You cannot outwork a bad diet, and you cannot outwork stress. I was burning that candle then. We had a conversation, and I told her that I was just stressed out, and I was out walking. She was like, well, you know that's really not going to do anything right now. You need to leave the park. You need to go sit at the park. Even if you just scroll your phone, you need to go sit. Just go sit. So I went and sat. I took my journal, I cried, and I went home and I rested. That was my workout for the day, because you can keep doing all this stuff. You can keep putting your body under all this stress, but if you are not resting, and if you don't bring down that little demon cortisol, I'm calling it a demon because that's a stressor. If you don't lower that cortisol in your body, you're just really a walking time bomb. So you have to prioritize rest. That rest is going to rebuild you. That rest is where we build muscle and how we see the results from our workouts and our eating right. That comes from rest, okay? You're not gonna lose weight and you're not gonna build any muscle until you get that in check first, okay? So again, you guys have to take care of your heart. It's very important, and I wanted to really talk about this because this is the theme for the month of February, and also because I know that we are in, honestly, some trying times as a nation. There's been a changing of the guards, and I don't talk politics, not in front of everybody, because that's just it's just I'd rather not. But I will say, guard your heart. The Bible tells us, thank you, Holy Spirit, for bringing that back to me. In Proverbs 4:23, I'm going to read this from the New Living Translation. And it says, guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. I'm going to read that again. It says, guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. Other versions say, out of it flows the issues of life, right? Everything that we do is connected to our heart. That's why when your heart is broken, it's hard for you to function. It's hard for you to pretty much think straight because you have a concern, you have a matter that's pressing on your heart. And when you have that pressing on your heart, it affects the rest of your body. It affects your spirit. That's why it's important for us to monitor what we're listening to, the type of music that we're listening to, the type of people that we are allowing to speak in us, because that can affect our heart. And I also believe that we have to guard our heart because that affects our physical heart. When we aren't taking care of our physical heart, that begins to affect the rest of our body, right? And you know what happens when your heart stops? That's over. When you flatline, you're gone, right? So I want you all to prioritize, and I'm talking to myself too. We have to prioritize ourselves, not just because it's February, but because our heart determines everything else, right? If your heart isn't good, the rest of you isn't good, okay? I want you to prioritize taking care of you this year, okay? And I know I dropped a lot of information, and I'll go deeper as we go. But my mission this year in Lakita's room, we're giving lessons, love, life lessons. And I also want to give you fuel, faith, and fitness. I forgot, y'all, I'm also a certified trainer. And I'm just really getting out of my comfort zone. I'm a certified personal trainer. Getting out of my comfort zone to give you all fitness that works for me. I want to be able to give fitness to everyday women. People that look like you, people that look like me, people that don't necessarily have it all together. You see a lot of people showing you the goods, and no shade to anybody, because I'm trying to get my back tight and abs tight, all that stuff, right? But for the people that you're still learning, like myself, I want to give fitness to you in a way that makes sense. I like to give you practical ways, easy tools that you can pick up, things that you can navigate, right? There's so much information out there, but I know there is a lane for the everyday woman, okay? If that's you, I want you to keep pulling up, keep talking to me, keep listening to me, keep engaging with me, because we are going somewhere. We're building something this year. And I honestly believe that that starts with taking better care of ourselves, taking better care of our bodies, our mind, our soul, our spirit. God has great things for us this year, okay? My mission is to help you go get it. I love you guys so much. I appreciate you for joining me in Lakita's room. And until next time, we'll talk soon.